Here we go with Thursday morning's Every Fitness Online workout, our usual stretch workout. In this workout today, we're going to actually go through the type of kind of stretching, recovery aid, foam rolling. Foam rolling is really good for recovery because it literally is squeezing and stretching the muscles that have been working or the muscles that feel tight. What happens when we train is we elicit a response in our bodies. We're stimulating the body to do something, particularly when we use our muscles, particularly when we're weight training, or doing something of high intensity for a longer period of time, such as maybe like a spin class. Obviously that's going to focus mainly on the legs, and then really, for me, that's where foam rolling is most useful as well. So as we're doing something of high intensity, muscles are working hard and they experience what's called micro damage, particularly for weight training up to a really high intensity. So we're actually causing micro tears in the fibres, right down on a microscopic level. Alongside that, as we're using the muscles physiologically, we're producing waste products as well from the processes that go in to drive the muscle work. So all our muscles work by contraction. One of the things that happens is that energy systems kick in to drive those contractions. One of those systems is called the lactate system, or the lactic system, and lactic acid builds up. That's that burning sensation when you are doing something and your muscles aren't hurting or you're not getting injury, but they're giving that burning sensation where you then can't do any more. So what a foam roller does is helps to massage and elongate those micro tears, and with the fact that you are squeezing and pushing, elongating the muscles, you're also going to start to move some of those lactic acid and other metabolites that build up with training out of your muscles as well, hopefully aiding recovery. It goes without saying, other things are really important for recovery as well. Plenty of water to stay hydrated. That helps with the flushing part of moving these things around your body, the lactic acid, things like that, being able to process it. Also, sleep is really important as well. But we live in a world where we have work, family, commitments, and any other tool that can add to those things, because maybe actually during the week you might only average 6 or 7 hours of sleep a night. Maybe you need a little bit more, but any other tool that you can add fairly quickly into your day-to-day or week-to-week routine that will help with recovery, will help with being able to train again and train at a good intensity again, and will drive ultimately the ability for you to train and change your body in the way you want it to, whether that be increasing fitness, changing your body composition, getting stronger. One of the key factors is how often you stimulate, train the body. So if you can do that consistently, because you've got some more recovery tools, that's really, really good way to go. So foam rolling would usually be done after a workout or maybe a little bit later on. So you might go and do a gym workout. Maybe you may or may not do some stretches there and then at the time, depending on what you've done and what time you've got. But later on, maybe 10-15 minutes in front of the TV, down on the floor, in your lounge, you might be able to get out a foam roller and do some of these techniques on the muscles that you have been working that day. And this is a foam roller with lots of knobbles. You can get smooth ones. This one originally came from TK Maxx. You can order them from lots of different places now. They've become very, very popular to use. In some cases, they kind of overemphasize of how good they are. They are not the be-all and end-all of mobility and stretching by any means at all. They're just another tool that you can use to recover and help you do the next session really, really well. A good rule of thumb is actually, if you feel like you can't do your next workout or start a workout without foam rolling, you probably need a little bit more recovery. Now, that's not to say that circumstances might be that you might have to do your workout on that particular day, because then there's 2 or 3 days coming up where you can't. I'm not saying don't push through that. I'm not saying don't train. I'm saying then maybe you just need to look at the recovery and structure of your workouts that you've got. But at the same time, circumstances might dictate you might be doing 3 or 4 days back to back and then 2 or 3 days off, which will facilitate a recovery. Also, nothing wrong with that. But foam rolling is really a recovery tool, not really a mobility tool or a way to be able to get through the next workout that you're doing. That's not to say I've had times where I've done that, where I was doing all sprint classes in the week, all classes in the week, training myself as well. You know, get to Wednesday or Thursday morning and you feel like I need to foam roll. Partly doing it in the morning before training and before that day, more because of actually not being disciplined enough to do it the night before or after the workout that I've already had time might have been at pre. So, without going into too much more of the theory, let's look at some of the things we can do. Personally, I always find my glutes get pretty tight with whatever sort of training I do. So I always tend to start with the glutes. And actually, it's quite a nice place to start because they're a big muscle group and you don't feel the foam rolling really hard straight off. So you put your foam roller down and you sit on it. And then you start to, in a sense, self-massage the muscle group you're targeting. Now I'm just going to bring it down to the knobbly side because I quite like it. You can use the flat side as well for a more kind of consistent movement. And then you're just going to control how much body weight you put down through the foam roller as you roll. And you're going to change the angle. Just going to roll your hip across, roll it out some more. Now, it's not always the case that just because something you feel it more, it's working better. You need to kind of judge the level of feeling you get as being positive or actually detrimental. I know sometimes that you can roll onto your side and start doing the IT band, which we'll go on to, and that can be really painful, and that's more because it's actually slightly inflamed. So there, I've done both sides of the glutes, and one side too well. We're going to move on to the next one. Then we're going to move down to the hamstrings. The hamstrings insert right up here and go all the way down to the back of your knee. So you want to be able to create a bit of a movement where you can really roll those things. Now just flexing my foot as well. Just flexing my foot will change the contraction and relaxation of the hamstring. So I can just feel that around in there as well. Across the other side. The tighter you feel it, the more kind of feedback you might get from this in terms of how intense it feels. Now, calves can be quite tight and therefore quite painful when you do it onto a foam roller. Bearing in mind how much smaller the calves are than the glutes and the hamstrings, and how much body weight you put down onto there as you roll them around. As you go right to the sides, changing that angle as we go. The other side. You can start from the top and work all the way down, or you can do as I've been doing and switch from side to side. Okay. Now we are going to go to the side. No, it's virtually impossible to actually stretch the IT band. What we're going to do is just really more roll the side of the quads, an area that can get quite painful. You're not going to get too far along, just enough to roll the side of the quads. Yeah, and pop it around the other way. Side again. And you will find you end up in some slightly weird and wonderful positions. It's a bit like playing Twister without the spots on the floor. Plus you're just playing on this weird little tube. Okay. Probably the least graceful position is what we're going to do next, which is attempt to roll the quads. What you're going to end up doing is kind of throwing yourself over and then dropping your weight down. Now, quads are a big muscle group. There's actually 4 different parts to it, hence the name quad. So this is where you're going to end up rolling around from side to side a little bit to try and get nice roll into the areas that you have been working. I was leg pressing last night, so that actually feels quite tight and sore. And sometimes it's surprising how it feels compared to just kind of getting up, walking around like I've done this morning. Not really felt any tightness in my quads. As soon as I start to roll it here, I could feel the fact that I definitely was working them hard last night, and ultimately they're appreciating this bit of recovery support, as it were. As painful as it can get. Oy. So that can, because it was right about 12 hours ago, I was actually training the quads. That got quite intense quite quickly. That's not a bad thing. Definitely this side as well. And then the next area that is quite useful for a foam roller, but if you have issues in your lower back, then you just take this steadily. You actually be able to roll your lower back. Now in terms of the lats, they don't start until partway back, around about this sort of height. So when you're down the bottom, you're actually more focusing on the erector spinae, and then the muscles that do all supporting. When you are doing something like deadlifting, trap bar deadlifting, just look after that area as you roll. And then you can go higher up into the upper back as well. And that's your main areas really for rolling. Some people will try and roll the chest as well. Obvious reasons that's not often great for ladies, and actually because of the way the chest fibres run, which is actually more diagonally than most people realise, it's quite hard to get a good angle on that without being restricted across to your neck. So what I'd recommend there is static stretches, whereby your hand is lower than the chest, lower than the shoulder, going round, or doing the same thing but with the TRX and stretching through, or you can take care of your upper body mobility, shoulders, chest, upper back, with things like the band stretches as well. Any questions about foam rolling then? The best times to do it, the ways to use it, just talking about the best time to do it is when you've got time to do it. Do some. It is just another good tool in your kit for recovery, and therefore being able to consistently go on and do another workout. And anything that helps you recover and helps you do your day-to-day life away from training without pain, restrictions, stiffness, soreness is going to be really, really helpful. And the training is just one part of our overall life. We don't want it to dominate so much that it has a detrimental effect on other aspects. Any help and support you need, as always, please give me a shout, and always happy to help. See you soon.